Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, you already know this is like the 12th episode, but this is going to be my last one for Banished, because my town is already prosperous. I highly doubt that this town can ever fail, and I would also like to say that my wood is maxed out. That's not good. Let's make that 3,000 then. Anyways, this is going to be my thoughts on this game, and it's also going to be the last part to the series. And let me talk a little bit about the game first. Banished is a simulator, a city simulator, as you can see. But I would call this more of a town simulator than a city simulator, because if you look up here, I know there's a lot of menus on the screen, but if you look up here into this one, here I'll bring it to the middle. I only have around, let's see, 400, I mean not 400, 40, 70, 290 people in this town. And yeah, so it's not really a city, it's more like a small town simulator, and I think it's really good of a game, simply because instead of managing a huge area like SimCity, you now focus on just managing one small town. Now, how it basically differs from all the other SimCities you've probably played is that this game focuses more on resources than managing your city. Now, of course, you also have to manage your city, but you don't have, like, you know, trash collecting or police or fire stations or stuff like that. But instead, you have farming, you know, collecting food, raising sheep for me, but you can also have cows and chickens, fishing, gathering wood, you know, chopping down wood into into firewood, gathering mushrooms and plants, food, creating medicine, stuff like that. And a graveyard, that too. Yeah, it's a lot of things that you can actually do and have built in order to have a town that is actually prosperous. Yeah, this game is hard. Okay, I'm playing this on easy mode. So I start off with a lot more citizens, a lot more resources, and some sheep. But if you've been watching my playthrough, I made a mistake on my sheets, and I didn't build the pen fast enough, and most of them just died out. So I actually have to wait and buy more sheets. Now how you do that is basically you have to have a trading post like this, and then whenever a trader comes by, you can actually trade with them in order to get stuff that they're selling. Sometimes a trader that will come by that will actually sell animals, so you can actually have a pasture of that type of animal. It's really cool. Food is really important in this game, as you can imagine, because it actually is the main resources that your citizens are going to be using in order to survive throughout the year. And that is why you can see that I have tons of farms. So this is basically my starting area. You know, it's really obvious because everything is cramped together, and some farms here and orchard there. You know, it's not like really spread out or anything. It's not like organized, because, you know, you have to make do what you got at the beginning. You can't like plan out stuff beforehand. But this is my farming area, which is really great. You know, you have another orchard with apple trees, delicious, and then some corn crops, potatoes, cabbages, beans and squash, tons and tons of different foods, and 2 ginormous pastures. It's really, really great. And of course, pastures for sheep in particular, you get wool and mutton. Mutton is just basically sheep meat. Oh, storage barn is filled up. Really? Um, that's really bad. Hang on, let me get another storage barn here. Did I build it there? No. Let me build it, another one. Okay. So, anyways, this is your village menu, meaning every one of your villagers that can actually work, which is my 227 villagers, are listed here. And as you can see, they are split into different categories because, you know, a town have different jobs and people need to do different things. So this is a very fast menu of actually just dividing up your villagers into different sections so that you can, you know, don't have to actually micromanage each citizen itself. I don't think you can even do that. You can click on them, but you can't actually like tell them to go to a different working area, I don't think. Yeah, so this is the only menu you can actually use to actually assign jobs to citizens, other than, you know, clicking on the field itself and then using that. So anything else about the basics of gameplay that I need to tell you guys? Buildings. Let's talk about some of the buildings, okay? So you have your casual houses. You have some wooden houses, you have some stone houses. The difference being stone houses keep the heat in more, so they don't have to use as much firewood to keep themselves warm during like rain or winter, which is really nice. And yeah, that's really much it. Boarding houses are this thing right here. I have one just in case, because if anything happens to any of these houses, like a fire or something, boarding houses are a place for a massive amount of people. As you can see, look, like so many people can fit into a boarding house, so that it gives me time to actually build up a new set of houses to replace the one that was destroyed. So it basically is a shelter, basically. Huh? Roads. You start off with dirt road. It just increases the speed of the movement of citizens very slightly. Then you can upgrade it to stone road. Really nice. How you upgrade roads is just basically just do that. But it's already stone, so it's not obvious gonna upgrade itself. But you can just drag it onto an existing road, and then your builders, which are these guys right here, will just go to them and start, you know, constructing the roads. So the upgrading system is really, really cool, unlike the new SimCity, which is terrible, because, you know, you can't drag roads over existing roads to upgrade them. You can only do that how do you say this? You can only upgrade them by clicking on the road, and then in a menu appears and you upgrade it. You can only upgrade the road to a certain point. But anyways, and then you have bridges. As you can see, I have some that for some reason is not connected. That is really bad. There you go. Yeah. So I have some bridges to help my villagers across the river here. And then you have tunnels. Tunnels are built like this. Right here, this is a tunnel. Instead of making my villagers say, you know, going from this town area to this town area by walking like all the way down, across and up, or walking all the way up, across and down, they can just move across this right here. Another tunnel that I haven't built is over here. Allows me to cross this mountain or hill, and so I can build another basically area over here that allows me to hunt more food, gather more food, and make more medicine, and gather more wood. By the way, I'll come to that in a bit. I'll get down the list here. Storage, I already told you probably already know what that is. It's just basically a place to store stuff. Really obvious. Stockpile. Stockpiles are these things. Basically, your storage barn will not store things like coal, iron, stone, and wood. Those are the 4 resources that storage yards will not hold, and firewood, of course. Those are 5 resources that the storage barn will not hold, so you actually have to build a stockpile, because those are the only places you can hold those type of materials. So they are split in 2. You can't actually store those in here. Good to know. And then you have a market. Market are a place where people can gather basically all the stuff that they possibly need into one location, and any buildings within this area will actually go to the market to actually store their stuff instead of having to walk. Like, say if they want wool, and say this was my only pasture, then the only place you're gonna find wool is these 3 storage barns, as you can see. So instead of having to walk all the way back there, they can just go here, and I believe there's wool right here. So that's really nice. And trading posts, I already talked about this. Basically, traders come by. You can trade your existing stuff that you put into the storage in the trading post by deciding like which one do I want to put in there today. And once you actually put it in there, you can actually use it as trading material. Very cool stuff. A well is basically to put out fires, but I've never ran into a situation to where I actually had a fire ever, even though I have natural disasters on, and my villagers just seem to be very competent and just don't like their houses on fire. So smart people. Schools is the place to teach people, students, kids, to make them better at doing their job when they actually grow up. Hospital, really obvious. I have one right here. Anybody that gets sick, they go into the hospital, they get better. Really obvious. And this right here, the thing that I can't build is the town hall, which is I have right here. It's basically a place to where you can keep track of everything. All the materials you have that you can use for like farms and pastures. Obviously, your inventory, it holds information on all of your items that you have. Graphs of various things you can keep track of. Production, this is a really important menu because it tells you like how much you are producing on a certain material and how much you are using on a certain material. So basically you always want producing more than using, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. What can you do? Yeah, so right now my food is doing fine. Even though it's lower right now, remember it's not harvest season yet. Harvest season is usually during early autumn. So right now things are just growing, as you can see, and once harvest season comes, I will have plenty of food to actually use. As you can look over here, my last year's production and use, I had 35,000, almost 36,000 produced food, while I only used around 32,000. So I have plenty of food. This is a really cool thing too, and you should pay attention to it, is that the event log tells you what is happening around, like somebody becoming an adult and actually able to work. someone died of something, of like old age or an accident. So you should always, like, you know, once in a while, glance over into the profession area and make sure that the numbers line up, like 4 to 4, 66 to 66, 66. You know, just make sure all the numbers are matching up so that you don't have like one less worker in an area somewhere. And now I have 2 extra laborers, so they're just gonna wander around town doing odd jobs, helping people out, things like that. Actually, I'll put them into builders just to help speed things up here. What else? Chapel. Chapel is to increase his people happiness by allowing them to go to church or whatever it is. Go to chapel, go to religious gatherings, and yeah, it's really cool. Cemetery. So as you can see, I already have 2 cemetery. This is my starting one, filled up really quickly. This is my second one, filled up really quickly. This is my third one, almost filled up, and my 4th one is right here. So cemeteries are important. Maybe I haven't actually seen like a problem to not having a cemetery, but probably what I think would happen is that people would become sick more often if you don't have a cemetery, because, you know, where are you gonna put the dead bodies? So yeah. So since I built cemeteries up, I actually haven't run into prevent the citizens from becoming sad. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. So it could prevent disease. Who knows? You know. But since I built them, no one actually gotten sick yet. That's good. And this is your food stuff. This is your farms. You know, you can just set up a nice 15 by 15 farm field. Does it have to be 15 and 15? No. But that's the optimal size you want it to be. Like, I can build a 13 by 11 right here, but why? You know why? There's no point, no reason for me to build that, because that's a waste of space. I would rather just expand it right here and build a 15 by 15 right here. There you go. Max size. If I go one more, then you can't build it anymore. So, there you go. But right now, I don't need it, you know. Then you have the orchard, same thing as the crop field. Orchards are these type. Instead of growing stuff like food, this is also food, but you can, these stuff, you can use it to make ale. Where's my ale place? Yeah. So this is the tavern. I'm using currently wheat to actually make my ale. So it's just a place to keep people happy. Pastures, you already know what that is. Those are these things. Really simple. Fishing docks, gathering fish. Hunting cabins, or I have one right here. Yes, I do. Are these things? Basically, you hunt wild animals inside forests, and that's how you get food. Basically, these right here, fishing dock, hunting cabin, and gatherer's hut, which are these, are your starting food gathering places that you need to sit down immediately so that you actually have an income food, so that your people don't die of starvation. Really important. Then later on, when you actually get a merchant that allows you to sell, or that will sell you pasture animals like cows, chicken, sheep, etc. You can then build up a pasture, but probably the first thing you're gonna build after these fishing, hunting, and gathering is probably gonna be a crop field. That's what I started with anyways. My my wheat field, my cabbage field, and my pecan field are the 3 fields that I actually started building first to get my income of food skyrocketing above everything else. So really simple for the food side. This is your resource production. Woodcutters are basically places to produce firewood to keep people warm during the winter. I have 2 right here because I was like lacking in a lot of firewood. But since I upgraded most of my houses to stone, I am actually having plentiful firewood now, so kind of a problem. Forester Lodge are these things. Basically, they just keep the forest, like this area, always have big trees that they can cut down. Basically, it's selective harvesting, and you can only harvest trees that are old and old enough to be harvested without actually damaging the environment, which is really nice. Most at the start you won't be doing this, but once you actually get one down, it produces enough wood so that you don't actually have to do mass deforestation to actually have an income wood. I'll show you that in a bit. Herbalist, right here, produce herbs. Herbs keep your citizens healthy. Don't know how. It's like medicine, really. Cough drops and other stuff are probably being made in there. Blacksmiths. Blacksmith produces tools. I have some right here. I have 107 tools. Basically, what blacksmith is I already said that. They produce tools, and I'm right now using steel tools because they're just so much better. How much coal do I have actually? Can I switch to producing steel? 300 and something. Yeah, more than enough. Let's switch this mine to an iron mine because I'm running out of iron, as you can see. So let's keep that up. Anyways, yeah, they produce tools. Tools are used to mine, chop down trees, fish. Tools are basically tools, you know, like farming tools, pasturing tools, everything. They're tools, and tools break. Obviously, you know, you can only chop down so many trees before the axe handle breaks in your hand. So you need to keep those up and running, and that's how you do it. Just you know, have blacksmiths that will build tools. Tailors. I have 2 tailoring places, I think. Is that a tailor? No. This is tailor. Yep. Okay, so this is one of my tailors. What's the other one? Right here. Okay, so they build coats for the winter. So example is, this also reduces firewood use because people won't feel as cold in the winter because they have the coats on. So they don't use as much firewood any longer. It's really cool. Tavern, build ale, keep people happy, you already know that. Mine. So this is an iron mine, which is right here. I already showed you. It's where you can change between mining coal or mining iron. They require a lot of citizens to actually be 100% functional. But it's not too bad. Ooh, one of my herbalists died. That's not good. Yeah. So there you go. What is this? You achieve a reward highwayman. So roads probably. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, mines allow you to mine stuff. Really obvious. You know, you actually don't have to rely on mines for that. But as like right here, there's stone and iron right next to each other. So you can actually send your citizens here to mine these out, but they're really far away. I mean, look how far away from my central town is from that. So I don't like to expand that fast or tell them to go that fast. They can't go there anyways because there's like rivers in the way. So yeah, and then the quarries, these things, they mine stone. Really obvious. Now here are the removal tools. This is to remove structures. Now this is your most important thing at the beginning of the game. What this is that basically, for example, you have an, say this is where you start, right? And you can just build your building in this forest and people would just automatically chop down trees. Or you can just do this and highlight all the trees, and then your citizens will just automatically go and chop down all the trees in this area. And this is like what I said before about, you know, mass deforestation stuff. So right now I don't want to do that. I don't see a need to. And of course this is to remove all resources. So it'll affect stone, iron, wood, even like the little stuff down here, which are potatoes. I mean, like, you know, gathering materials for your gatherer's hut. You can then separate each of that into just trees, just stone, just iron, and just roads, and cancel remove. So example, you can select that. Now your citizen go there and remove that. you can now say, nope, don't do that anymore. Really simple, guys. So yeah, that is how the gameplay function works. It took like 20-30 minutes to actually explain it to you guys. But again, a simulator game is very complex in a certain way. So I felt like I needed to do that. Anyways, let's talk about the actual game itself. Graphically, the game looks really nice, really pleasing to the eye. It looks simple, and I think that actually helps the game in that it's a village. You know, it's not supposed to look grand or anything like that. So by making it look really simple, it's really nice. Yeah, I mentioned this game was made by one person. Yeah, you should give the guy props. Really, well done. Tons and tons of stuff to do by yourself in the game. I mean, you know, like sound assets. I'm not sure if he did everything by himself, but I'm gonna say yes. So, graphically, it looks really pleasing to the eye. Really good graphics. Sound is pretty good too. Music is nice, it's calming, relaxing. When you scroll down far enough, you can hear people working, you can hear the rain, you can hear sheep. So sound assets very good. You can hear mining, good sound. Story, well, every time you build a village, it's a story of its own. This village started up really well. Nothing happened majorly. A tornado did touch down nearby my town once, but it didn't actually damage anything. All my sheep that I started with died, so I need to wait until a merchant comes by, so I actually need to buy new sheep. We had some difficult times during the first winter when I didn't have enough firewood. I don't think any people died of anything like a major starvation or things like that, but a couple of my villagers did die of falling trees, collapsing mines. I think that's it. And then a lot of them just die from old age, which is a sign of a prosperous town, in my opinion. So every time you build a new city, every time you start a new city or town, is a story in itself. So story-wise, you shouldn't be looking for story inside of a simulator game. So I'm not going to include that in my rating here. Just saying. Lastly, gameplay. I already talked about the gameplay a whole shit ton at the beginning of the game. Let me summarize it. It's really complex and really good, and it's satisfying. It is, because once you actually have a town that's actually running like this, it is so great to see it just function. You know, I spent, I think, 3-4 hours into this town, and look how well it's going. It's great. Oh, a merchant is coming by. That's really cool. Another part of the gameplay that I forgot to mention is that you don't start with all this menu, so you can turn it off. You don't have to have all this menu on the screen. I just like to keep it on, even though it's a bit cluttery, to, like, you know, keep everything at an eye's glance to make sure that everything is like functioning and producing at the right rate. Another thing that I forgot to mention is increased priority. Basically, if you have anything that is currently building, you can highlight it. Anything in that area that is like building or chopping down trees or something like that will be increased in priority. That means your villagers will focus it on getting that up and running first. Cool thing to have. This is the last thing I forgot to mention. You can increase the game speed, just like in all the Sims, but probably you don't want to do that for most part of the game, because it's really hard to keep track of stuff when it's moving at 10 times the speed, unless you're like playing, unless you know what you're doing. So let's see what this merchant has for us here. They have some cabbage seed, some walnut seed, some pumpkin seed, some chestnut seed. I want to see here. Do I have walnuts? No. I'll take a walnut. Do I have cabbage? Yes, I do. Do I have pumpkin? No, I don't. Let's get some pumpkins. Do I have chestnuts? Yes, I do. Okay, so I now need to make my total of stuff equal to theirs. So basically, I'm just gonna give them warm coats. Worm coats are an easy way to actually get stuff in there here. And I'm probably gonna give them some cabbage. So the resources required must match the number of resources they're asking. And then I can trade. There you go. Now I have walnut and pumpkin. I can actually get up and running in my farm fields here. Really, really cool. So that's how the trading system works. Really easy to learn. Gameplay is phenomenal. I find it really, really fun. And it's what a sim type game actually needs, in my opinion. And it succeeds. This guy knows what he wants, what people want in a SimCity game, and he delivers. Really cool. This game is called Banished. Really nice. You guys should check it out. I highly recommend it. It is available on Steam for 20 bucks. Really cheap, in my opinion, for a game of this quality. So you should check it out. If it ever goes on sale, definitely pick it up. Other than that, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope I give you more than enough information to actually make a decision on if you guys want to get this game or not. It is really cool. Don't get too frustrated at the beginning of the game. You're just learning it. So if your town fails like 5 times, if you watch my playthrough, you also would know that I failed like 4 times before this town actually got made and actually became prosperous. So don't be too hard on yourself. Give this game a chance. Know that it's really hard, so don't expect it to be an easygoing game like SimCity was, and enjoy it. You know, it's really cool. It's really micro intensive. You have to keep track of a lot of menus. If you don't like that, then this game is probably not for you if you don't want to keep track of a lot of menus, you know. Your screen is probably going to have at least this many menus on it. You know, some of them you can turn off, but I'm just saying, it's a menu game, so make sure you know that before you get this game. And yeah, there you go. I am really enjoying it. Will I make another playthrough of this? Probably not, because we're getting into that season of games being released, and I have other games to play, basically. So that's why the series needs to end now before I, you know, get stuck on playing this over and over again. So there you go, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. If I have to give this game a score, my personal score of out of 10, I would probably give this a 7. And that's saying something for a sim game, you know. I don't think a sim game can actually be better than a 7, honestly. Because if anything that is better than a 7, it has to have a fucking badass story and action-based gameplay and stuff like that in order for me to like it. And remember, this is my score, guys. And before you guys say, oh, 7, that's really low, please do understand that my personal taste in games is that I do like these type of games, but in comparison to game with a story, with an actual story, you know, I think this game just can't match up to it. There's no way this game can match up to a game with a really good story and a good gameplay. This game has really good gameplay, but not very good story because it doesn't have any. So again, it's my personal score. You guys don't have to take it anyway, but I would also like to tell you guys that a 7, like I just said, is the highest score that a game of this type can get from me. So that should tell you how good this game is. So basically, if I were to rate this game just on its own scale, on a sim game scale, it would be a 10. Okay, it would be a 10 out of 10. But I'm not gonna rate it like that. I'm gonna rate it like, you know, how I rate my other type of games, you know, including everything. It's a out of 10 scale. Is a 7 out of 10. So if you're looking for a really good sim game, this game is definitely something you should check out. Other than that, I'm Bill, and this has been my thoughts on Banished. Once again, it's available on Steam for $20. You should go check it out. You should get it and play it if you like simulation games. And I will see you next time on another playthrough. So thank you guys for watching, and bye.